The sun scorched the polished chrome of the rare, vintage McLaren F1 as it gleamed like a trophy in the sprawling circular driveway of the Hawthorne estate. Mechanics had come and gone each one, leaving behind a trail of excuses and oily rags, none able to awaken the slumbering beast of an engine beneath the hood. Billionaire heiress Alessandra Hawthorne stood with her arms crossed, silk scarf fluttering in the breeze, watching the latest so-called expert pack his toolbox, and trudged toward his van, defeated like the rest. A small crowd of elite guests, investors, fashion moguls, influencers milled around sipping imported champagne, their laughter tinged with smug delight. The party was not just a casual gathering. It was Alessandra's annual tech and innovation gala, hosted to dazzle, to display power, to humiliate incompetence. In the centerpiece was the car her late father's prized possession, dead since the day he passed. She had offered a public challenge. Anyone who could fix the car on the spot would be rewarded with a check, fame, and a seat at the table. But no one had succeeded. Not until today. From the shadows of the garden, a young man named Zayon watched in silence. Grease-streaked jeans, a threadbare shirt, and hands scarred by years of labor betrayed his roots. He had arrived at the estate not as a guest, but as a temporary worker contracted to clear debris and handle lighting cables for the gala. A nobody. But Zayon wasn't just any poor mechanic. He had been trained by his grandfather, a legendary Pakistani engineer known for restoring war-torn engines with nothing but scrap. Zayon had studied machine design at night, worked in a dusty garage by day, and could read an engine like a doctor reads a heartbeat. Alessandra spotted him when he stepped closer to the car during the latest repair attempt, his eyes narrowed in quiet calculation. "You there?" she called, her tone laced with aristocratic arrogance. "Enjoying the view?" The crowd turned to see who dared stare so boldly. Zayon paused, then nodded once. "It's not the timing chain," he said calmly. "It's the camshaft sensor. It's cracked, misreading RPM input, flooding the engine." There was a beat of silence, then laughter. "What does the gardener know about engines?" someone jeered. But Alessandra, ever the provocateur, smiled like, "Linus, you think you can fix it?" she asked, stepping toward him, heels clicking like drumbeats. Zayon's eyes didn't flinch. "I know I can." That's when she said it, words that would set the internet on fire the next day. "If you can fix it," she said, tossing her hand in the air, "I'll marry you." Gasps erupted from every corner. Someone choked on their wine. Her fiancé's, yes, her actual fiancé, Adrian Black, a Wall Street tycoon, froze in place, jaw clenched. Alessandra laughed, expecting the boy to wilt. But Zayon only walked forward, his stride slow and deliberate, as though he carried not a wrench but destiny itself. In less than 10 minutes, he had the hood open, scanned the circuitry, and bypassed the faulty sensor, using a copper wire from a broken phone charger in his pocket. Silence spread like wildfire. Then, with a single twist of the Keitha engine roared to life, a beast awakened. The vibration shook the marble tiles under their feet. Glasses dropped, faces paled, the crowd screamed in awe. Alessandra's smile cracked for the first time. She looked at him not like a joke, not like a servant, but like something dangerous. "Who are you?" she asked quietly. Zayon wiped his hands on a cloth, handed her the key, and simply said, "The man you promised to marry." Chaos ensued. Adrian lunged forward, demanding security eject him. But Alessandra raised a hand. "No," she said, voice still trembling. "I gave my word, in front of everyone." That night, the video clip exploded online. Millions watched. The scene unfold, the arrogant millionaire's dare, the poor mechanic's triumph, the engine's cry of victory. But what no one knew was what came next, the storm that would change both their lives forever. Behind the glitter and power, behind the headlines and shares, a deeper story was unfolding. Zayon didn't just want revenge. He didn't just want her heart. He had a secret of his own, one that could destroy the entire Hawthorne legacy or heal it from within. The next morning, the entire Hawthorne estate, buzzed with more intensity than the engine that had come back to life just hours ago. News vans lined the gates. Drones hovered overhead. A swarm of bloggers, journalists, and social media influencers camped outside the massive wrought iron fences. The viral video of Alessandra's challenge and Zayn's shocking triumph had shattered every algorithm across the globe. The hashtag engine proposal trended in 20 countries. Memes exploded. Reaction videos flooded the web. The billionaire heiress had promised marriage, and now the world demanded to see it fulfilled. But inside the mansion, away from the flashing cameras, the mood was anything but celebratory. Alessandra stood in her high-rise bedroom, staring at her reflection in the vanity mirror. Her face, usually emotionless behind designer sunglasses and inherited pride, now showed something rare: confusion. She replayed the moment in her mind over and over. The roar of the engine, the crowd's gasp, the look in Zayn's eyes. Not cocky, not boastful, but calm, grounded, certain. Something in her had shifted, and that terrified her more than the media frenzy outside. Downstairs in the guest quarters, Zayn had been given a temporary suite mostly because Alessandra had insisted, and no one dared challenge her. He didn't care about the soft bed or marble floors. His hands were still stained with grease, his heart still steady with purpose. He hadn't come for a game or a stunt. He had come for answers, and now they were within reach. A soft knock on the door broke his focus. It was Maria, Alessandra's long-serving personal assistant. She handed him a tailored suit, nothing flashy, but good enough to wear in front of billionaires. "There's a press conference in 2 hours," she said, avoiding eye contact. "She wants you to stand beside her and smile." He asked dryly, "This isn't a fairy tale, Maria." "No," she said, pausing at the doorway, "but it might be a revolution." The estate's ballroom had been turned into a makeshift media zone. The podium was decked with white roses, gold accents, and 2 chairs. Alessandra stood poised, wrapped in a silver gown that caught every spotlight. Zayn joined her, clad in the charcoal suit, his hair brushed back, but his posture unbending. 100 cameras flashed. Reporters fired questions like bullets. Is this marriage real? Who is he really? Was this planned? Does this void your engagement to Adrian Black? Alessandra raised her hand. The room fell silent. "Shh," she began. "I made a challenge, admittedly arrogant, admittedly dramatic. And a man I never met stunned us all by answering it. Today, I stand beside him not because I must, but because I want to know who he really is. Because I believe in keeping my word." Zayn took the mic. "I'm not here to marry her for money," he said simply. "I didn't fix the car to win a ring. I did it because I saw something broken, and I knew how to make it live again. Not just the car. Maybe her. Be this whole rotten system that judges people by shoes and stocks and surnames." Silence. Then slow claps. Then thunderous applause. But not everyone clapped. Adrian Black, her enraged ex-fiancé, stormed out of the room. And in the shadows, Charles Vexley, the family lawyer, watched with sharp interest. He knew something Alessandra did not. Zayn wasn't just a talented nobody. He had a hidden truth locked deep in the archives of Hawthorne's past. That night, as guests and guards buzzed about the estate, Zayn slipped away into the forbidden wing of the mansion, the part sealed since the death of Alessandra's father, Darius Hawthorne. Using a passkey he'd quietly duplicated from Maria's office, he unlocked the doors and stepped into dust, history, and silence. It was here that the late billionaire had stored his blueprints, prototypes, and personal journals. Jan wasn't looking for gold. He was looking for proof, and he found it. In a weathered box labeled Project Z Engine, he found documents signed by Darius Hawthorne and co-signed by another name, Engineer Bashir Ahmad, his grandfather. Years ago, Darius and Bashir had worked side by side to build a revolutionary, eco-efficient combustion engine invention that would have reshaped the automotive industry. But when the patent was filed, only one name was listed: Darius Hawthorne. Zayn's grandfather had died penniless, erased from history. Zayon knew this wasn't coincidence. It was betrayal. His entire life had been shaped by that injustice, and now fate had brought him into the lion's den, with the lion's daughter offering her hand, returned to his sweet emotions, boiling beneath the surface. He didn't sleep. He couldn't. The next day he met Alessandra on the terrace. She wore no makeup, no pretense, just jeans and a white tee. Human, for once. "I need to talk to you," he said, holding the folder. She took it, read it slowly. Her eyes widened, then clouded. "My father, he stole this." "Yes," Zayn said, "from my family, from my bloodline. He buried the truth, but I uncovered it." She closed the folder, trembling. "Why didn't you tell me before?" "'Cause I didn't know if you were like him," he said honestly. "But now, I don't think you are." Tears welled up in her eyes. "Jayan, I didn't know. Swear." "I believe you," he replied softly. "But what happens next? It's your choice." That evening, Alessandra called a surprise press conference. In front of the world, she held up the folder and spoke into the mic. "My father built an empire, but it wasn't his alone. The man who made our company possible was Bashir Ahmad. Today, I am giving his grandson Zayan the rightful credit. Royalties and a seat on our board." The room exploded in stunned applause. Reporters didn't know what to ask. Lawyers scrambled. But the public fell in love with her all over again for choosing truth over pride. After the event, Alessandra and Zayan sat alone in the courtyard, under fairy lights and moonshine. She turned to him. "You still haven't asked for the one thing I promised," she whispered. "Marriage." He smiled. "Because it's not something you win. It's something you build." She leaned closer. "Do you want to build it with me?" He took her hand, kissed it gently. "Only if you let me fix more than your car." "Die." She laughed, genuinely this time. No walls, just her. The next day, headlines roared louder than any engine. Billionaire heiress marries mechanic who exposed her father's secret past. But for Zayan and Alessandra, it wasn't about noise. It was about quiet moments, about truth. Souls that collided through a challenge and found something unbreakable beneath the hood of a broken world. Asterisk.